authenticity, like, you know, be your authentic self. What is that? What's that? No, I've done that already. Everybody's a little mentally unstable. Are you propositioning me? The loud woman. Date a mentally unstable woman. Date a stable one? I've done that. It's okay. But at some point you're sort of like, wow, it's just not a lot of. But I don't know about authentic selves, you know, because I feel like if I really was my authentic self, I would do fucking nothing. Why would you do anything? Like, why don't you do anything? Like, because I'm good. I'm who I am. It's a Buddhist idea. Were you, are you just suggesting, or are you angry about something? Just a suggestion. I never know. It's hard to tell tone sometimes. Date a mentally unstable woman. You fuck. But I'm projecting that. She probably was just trying to be encouraging. All right, let's get back to the really heavy shit so we can go deeper into this issue. Yeah, I mean, be careful what you woo for. I was gonna clean my glasses, but I don't want you guys to freak out. You know when people wear glasses and you only know them with glasses and they take them off, you're like, oh my God! Put them back on, Jesus, what are you trying to do? We don't know that guy at all. Okay, so trauma. Now, I want you to know that going into this story, this material, that I can handle it. Okay, I can handle it. Whatever you do with it, I'm gonna be all right. So trauma. You got Gabber up here, and like you know that trauma is the new psychological context for understanding people's mental unwellness. It's the idea of trauma processing, that we're all sort of on the spectrum of PTSD, and what the idea is, you find your trauma and you process it to free yourself from reenacting the trauma in your heart and your mind. And I think it's a pretty reasonable context through which to deal with psychological problems. Now, the thing of it is, once you find your trauma and process them, it's really kind of up to you to figure out which traumas had which impact on your life, how many of them were destructive versus, you know, just traumas. I think we all have a little of that. So that's the setup. Okay. So when I was a kid, my dad was in the military. He was stationed down here in Alaska, in Anchorage, Alaska, like 69 to 71. I was 5 or 6, and my brother was like 4 or 5, and we were a military family. And during that time, we had a babysitter. Yeah, a guy babysitter who wanted me and my brother to suck his dick. All right, I'm pretty sure I didn't do it. So, but now that I'm older and looking back on it, I'm like, how could I not have done it? So, just stay with me. Now I remember we told my dad about it, and all I remembered my dad saying, and there must have been more to it, but all I remember him saying was, yeah, his dad's a sergeant. Now I don't know what that means, and I don't really know how that helps anything, but that's what I remember. Now I know a lot of you are kind of freaked out right now, but a couple years later, we moved, and now I'm in elementary school. And I would imagine that most of your moms know how to fold a lunch bag. Am I right? It's not that hard. You crease it once and fold it, crease it, fold it. You make a nice little handle, right? That's a nice mom, makes a nice lunch bag. My mom couldn't do that. She would just crumple it up into this pillar of garbage. And she would wrap my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in tinfoil, which just made them a fucking mess. All these other kids with little sandwich bags, I just have this tinfoil mess in my little garbage bag. She would put, like I was a chubby kid, she'd put half a diet pill in my lunch bag. Yeah, and that went on for years. And I gotta tell you, much worse than blowing the babysitter. My mom put me in Cub Scouts. Do you have that shit up here? Yeah. Do I look like the kind of grown-up that might have been like a good candidate as a kid for a fucking Cub Scout? I don't know why she put me in Cub Scouts. No, there's parental, there's responsibility involved in Cub Scouts. You've got to sew the patches on the little uniform. And there's a way to do it. It's in the manual. Yeah. My mom, she didn't care. She was smoking cigarettes, painting, drinking. She was having a good time. She just put me in Cub Scouts to get me out of the house. She didn't look at the manual. She was an artist. She just sewed the patches wherever the fuck she wanted to. I think there were some on my pants. She didn't buy me a hat. It was fucked up because there's a troop inspection. And we failed it because of my mom's creativity. And that, again, much worse than blowing a babysitter. I'm just telling you, in terms of impact. Now look, I don't want to trivialize anybody's trauma or be, in any way condescending or insensitive. And who knows, maybe a couple of years from now, I'll realize that blowing the babysitter is exactly why I'm as fucked up as I am. And at that point, I guess I'll stop doing comedy and I'll just do TED Talks, I guess, about blowing babysitters and stuff. But that's not what's happening now. And sometimes I wonder, what happened to that babysitter? Is he in some B comedy room in Alaska giving his side of the story? Is he on stage somewhere so my dad, the Sarge, used to make me babysit when I was a kid. What kind of guy babysits? So I just made the kids blow me. Oh, what? Is this too woke an audience to laugh at that shit? Am I gonna get canceled for my blowing the babysitter bit? You pussies! My dad taught me how to write my name in the snow with his dick. Oh, is that too edgy? Too edgy for you woke-ass fuckers? My dad used to say things like, am I clear for landing? Before he came on my back. Oh, too far? Is that too far for you woke pussies? They're gonna cancel me for that? Now, I see you're laughing, and I think the thing you didn't expect is to actually, at the beginning of that story, have empathy for that guy. And I gotta be honest with you, it takes everything I have not to do an entire one-man show as that character. I'll let you up that a little bit. So, my dad, he's always my dad's newly demented, and I like to frame it that way. I don't like to say has dementia, because that's sad as fuck. But newly demented, it's sort of like, ooh, here we go, But he's still got it together a bit, and but here's the deal. Here's the thing about dementia in family members. It's if you let go of who they were and kind of deal with what is now, it can be pretty interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because if the filters go away and the statute of limitation on what they should and shouldn't tell their kids, that's gone. So if you've got some questions, it's time to go fishing. So my dad is, his wife brought him out to Vegas. I don't do a casino, I do a little club there, and he likes to watch me, so she brought him out, and I was working on that material, and after the show, I'm with him in the green room, and we're just sitting there, and I said, so Dad, do you remember that babysitter thing? He's like, yup, I remember it. And I said, so did we blow him? And my dad said, nope, you didn't. And I'm like, okay, that's good. And then my dad says, his dad was a sergeant, though. The dementia thing is just too much. It's too much. Because like when you have a dementia, where am I at? When you have a dementia, how long have it, what time is it? Oh really, so it's been like an hour 15, is that about right? Hour 10, what, hour 5? Hour 10? So anyways, the dementia thing. It's weird because like you find yourself like trying to sneak in, you know these like questions to kind of gauge how bad they're getting, like really simple questions, just do it casually, just sort of like, just eating dinner, like, yeah, where'd you grow up again, Dad? Like, just to check, to see what's holding and what isn't holding. And I started to think that would be like an interesting game show, if 3 contestants just brought their demented parent in and they had to answer basic questions about their lives. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like I asked my dad, I said, what's your father do for a living? And my dad goes, office. That gets points, that gets points. He knew the place where it happened. I think it's okay to make fun of it. To at least embrace it comedically. Because like it's sad as fuck, but it's kind of interesting though. It really, like I was in New Mexico recently where he is, and we were driving down in the neighborhood where I grew up, where the old house was. I was with his wife and him, and we're literally like around the corner from our old house. And now in this part of New Mexico, for some reason there's this big curve, and there was a doctor that lived on this corner that had this large plot of land, and he had like a small herd of buffalo in there. There was like 8 full buffalo. And it was like a landmark. If people didn't know exactly where I lived, I'd be like, where the buffalo are? Oh yeah. So it was a known thing, It was very near the old house. And we're driving right by the old house, and I said, Dad, you remember the house down here? And my dad goes, I never lived here. And I go, no, I grew up. I grew up right over there. He's like, nope, I didn't live here. I'm like, all right. And then I said, do you remember the buffalo? He's like, yeah, of course I do. Not my entire childhood, but the buffalo. It's powerful, man. It's like a mythic. It's like on the cave paintings at the back of his head. That's gonna be the last fucking thing he remembers. The buffalo. So, politically, he's gotten a little weird. Because he's not really a political guy, but his wife sticks him in front of Fox News all day. She's kind of she's kind of a, this Trumpy, kind of, but not, she's like Christian Trumpy, which is worse. Because, they just have somehow, decided like, he's the messenger, and I'm like, he's the devil though. Nope, he's not, whatever. So, look, she's taking care of my dad. I don't give a fuck what she does. Not out of love, because I don't want to do it, so. Like, I don't believe in Jesus, but I thank Jesus every day for her. I'm like, Jesus, please let Rosie live until he dies, because I don't. But it's made him a little weird, because he was never a political guy. And now, like, he tries to sort of engage. He was always sort of like this, but he doesn't have any real opinions. And, like, he'll just say things that don't quite make sense, Like, I'll be on the phone. He's like, hey, so what do you think about all these blacks coming over the border? And I'm like, I think you're conflating 2 separate racist ideas. Maybe you have a problem with the Mexicans coming over the border and you just don't like black people. I don't correct him on that shit. Because there's still answers I need, there's still answers I need from my dad. Like, because I have problems, there's like, I was trying to figure out, why am I so emotionally, like, hobbled? Why? Like, because, like, Obviously, it's because of them in certain ways. But like, I can't, like, relationships aren't great with me, and like, I've, you know, a lot of times, like, I put a real priority on sex. Like, I think sex is the most important thing, and like, you know, the rest of it is just sort of like, who cares? I mean, you can fuck your way right through intimacy if you focus. So I'm glad that made sense to a third of the room. But, you know, the thing is, like, I kind of know where it comes from, but I want some sort of valid, like, I was at lunch with my dad, and we always go to this Chinese place, you know, and I take him out, and we're just sitting there, and he's waiting for his soup, and the waitress comes over, and, you know, puts the soup down, she walks away, and he's like, so you ever liked Orientals? It's not the time for correcting. That ship has sailed. I knew what he was saying. I said, yeah, I've dated Asian women before. He goes, oh, that's good. And then I just looked at my dad and I said, hey, is there anything more important or better than fucking? And my little demented dad looked at me and he goes, nope. There's nothing more important or better than fucking. And I'm like, that's where I get it. But the problem with living that life is that you probably end up alone and just, you know, if you just burn through relationships, you know, kind of lock in and let go, and you just kind of fuck your way through life, you're just gonna end up alone at the end, just you and your dick, sitting there, reflecting. I guess we had a good run. But I guess if I get what my dad has, it'll be more like, you're not my dick. Whose dick is this? All right. So, last thing about my old man. So as I said, his wife's taken care of, and we're all pretty grateful for that. But my brother and I, we don't really have a aftercare plan in place, you know, and you got to do that, like, because it's going to happen. We're going to have to put him somewhere, some sort of facility for like-minded people, where they can all hang out and reintroduce themselves to each other all day long. Be just as excited every time they meet the same person again and again and again. And that's not nothing. I mean, how fun is your life, you know? But we don't have a plan for him, you know? And a little backstory on my dad. About 20 years ago, he had a business partner that screwed him out of like $20,000 or $200,000. He had this, it was 20 years ago. This guy screwed him out of like $200,000. Now, it was a long time ago. But right now, all my dad talks about is killing that guy. And we're just so happy he's having a memory with some consistency, even if it's a murderous revenge fantasy. You know, if that's what's keeping him tethered to reality, we'll take it. You know, it's a blessing. So it gets a little thicker, the plot. My brother calls me a couple weeks ago. He's freaked out. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, Dad's wife just called and he's yelling at her. And I'm like, all right, well, relax. What's the deal? What's he yelling at her about? My brother goes, he wants bullets for his gun. So I say, look, you know, she took the bullets away. Maybe it's better not to disrupt, you know. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. And my brother goes, no, it's not. It's not safe. When you go out there, you got to try to get that gun out of the house. And I said, hold on a minute. Let's just talk this through. So he probably wants bullets to kill that guy, right? My brother's like, what difference does it make? I'm like, that guy's not a great guy. And I said, well, just hear me out. Let's say we get Dad the bullets. He kills that guy. They put him in jail. That takes a lot off our plate. I'm just saying, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth here, you know? You let the state cover the aftercare, and if we time it out right, he wouldn't even know the fucking difference. I just think it's a win-win if you think out of the box, bro. Now, as funny as that is, which I believe it is, my dad really wants to kill that guy, right? So these are the kind of conversations you can have with demented parents. You can only be as lucky as to have this kind of conversation. So I had to talk to him seriously about it. Like, I had to sit him down the last time I saw him and just be like, earnest, be like, all right, so what's going on? So you want to kill that guy? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm like, okay, so you're just gonna drive over there and kill him? He's like, yep, I'm gonna drive over, I'm gonna kill him. And I said, can you even drive anymore? My dad says, I can drive. And then he says, I don't know where I'm going. So I think that guy's safe for now. All right, let's see. Okay, I'll do the kid joke before that.